Hi, it's Milton Kane, the Christian Democratic Party candidate for the federal seat of Newcastle. I'm just wondering, many of us use mobile phones. Many of us have had that dreaded black spot, our phone drop out. With all of the talk we have at the moment of NBN and all that's going to mean and how wonderful we're going to get this fast internet connection, have we ever thought about the fact that so much of our internet is done via wireless? Many of our mobile phones are doing our internet. And yet we cannot manage to do much about it because so often we actually have these black spots. We have to go and outside of a building, we've got to go somewhere else to try and find a way to get that signal. While I'm absolutely convinced that it is necessary to have a very fast broadband, particularly for various corporations, various government departments, the Defence Department certainly needs a very fast internet connection. There are many aspects of the health system that will be very much benefited by it. But when we consider a percentage somewhere close to 60% of domestic internet connections are happening via mobile phones or the mobile network through their various iPads and other sorts of things that people have, we have to ask ourselves the important question, was it smart to spend as much money as we are on something that people are starting to get, I guess, out of the system of using? A fixed broadband network is a good thing for many things. It is good because it gives security, it gives you, it's far better to be able to transmit coded information for security ranges. But most of us don't use that. Most of us are not involved in that sort of area of activity. Most of the things that we do, it doesn't matter too much what happens. So I wonder, would it have been wiser for the government to have tried to work out if there is something we could have done far better with the mobile phone? We have advertising by the various phone companies telling us that they actually supply coverage to over 90% of Australians. Well, yes, but also no, because not all of Australians all of the time are going to have that mobile coverage. In our fair and wonderful city of Newcastle, there are so many dead spots. It's unbelievable. It almost seems, and perhaps it isn't, but it almost seems that it's getting worse. We have 3G and it's going to be 4G and maybe there'll be a 5G or whatever else, but at the end of the day, we can't drive up the highway from Glebe Road to Merriweather Heights without the phone dropping out. Sometimes we drive along Donald Street, near the Donald Street Bridge, and it drops out. Sometimes on Newcastle Road as we come over towards Crowders Road from Jesmond, the phone drops out. And there are so many other places where the signal becomes very weak and hard and fuzzy to be able to hear. We are a society on the move. We are a nation on the move. And so much of our activity happens while we are on the move. Of course, we are not allowed to drive a car and speak on the phone, but we have many hands-free devices so that we're able to do that. And yet we are finding ourselves with a continual blackout, continually having to get back to somebody because you didn't know what you had last said because something happened to the conversation along the way. Half the time we're speaking to a phone, and that's all. It's not being transmitted. Yes, you see, what I'm suggesting to you is that we need to look very closely at the delivery of mobile phone communication. It would have been wiser, I think, for the government to actually put into the whole mix of the communication exactly what was happening with mobile phones. Perhaps there could have been a combination of mobile network and a fixed line network to actually deal with the whole situation. It may have, I don't know, because I don't have the figures, it may have worked out to be a bit cheaper. I know getting a satellite up into space would be very expensive, but that would absolutely assist in our mobile communication. But at the end of the day, all these things need to be examined. And putting all of our eggs into the basket of fixed line internet communication may not be as wise as what it seems. I'm not suggesting that we should stop doing what we're doing, but I am asking the question, how wise was it to go down this track in the first place? We are at a point, in my understanding of where we are with the NBN, that it would be ridiculous to pull the pin at this stage. I'm not prepared to canvass that thought. But what I am concerned about is we are running up a very large bill for something that at this present time less than 50% of the communication via the internet is being transmitted on that particular service. So I'm just wondering, was it wise? I suggest to you that what we need to do is we need to put everything onto the table and see whether or not we can come up with a better system. We must be able to do better with our mobile phone communication. We expect to be able to contact a contractor, a person who works for a business, a manager of a business. We expect to be able to contact them wherever they are. And whilst they're on the move, we expect that. But we can't do it if our mobile network doesn't work too well. And it doesn't. It is pointless for our telecommunication contractors, our people who are supplying our services. It is ridiculous for them to make the claim that they have coverage when they don't. The most important time we do need to have mobile communication is in areas where there is no population. It is not all that important, I suppose, in the city to actually go out and communicate to someone. But it is important if we go out somewhere where there's no other people and we meet with some difficulty, we may need to communicate with somebody. But our mobile network doesn't allow it. We have become a society dependent upon mobile phones. In this country, we have more mobile phones than what we do have as people. So we are really into the mobile phone era. The question is, why haven't we made sure that our mobile phone communication is not first class, top class? Why haven't we got the full range of communication even where the populations are? One would have expected long before now for the mobile network to be able to fully cover a city like the city of Newcastle. We know it doesn't cover the city of Sydney, and that's the capital of this state. No, we've got a long way to go. Perhaps government would have been wise to have invested in this area. Thank you.